Welcome into K-State Online. I am Mason Voth. That is Drew Galloway. It is Monday, June 16th. And yesterday was Father's Day, which means today is not Father's Day. So all the dads waiting about there, just get back to doing what you're doing. It's not about you anymore. I learned that bright and early, 5 a.m. this morning when my oldest daughter was yelling, "Dad, I want dad." And I was like, oh, God, it's 5 o'clock. Why are we doing this right now? But we did it. And fortunately, she went back to sleep a little bit after I had to feed her other sister. So that was my wake up call. It's like yesterday was my day. I got to sit around, watch the U.S. Open, have less responsibilities, back to the full grind today. But that's okay. The other part about Father's Day is that we talked so much about that first week of July becoming kind of a hotbed around July 4th for commitment dates. This time of year, Father's Day is also a popular day for commitments. A lot of players out there that want to, honor the legacy of their father and make their decision on Father's Day because it's special for them too. And K-State had 3 players yesterday that decided that Father's Day was the right time for them to jump aboard the class of 2026 for K-State. The first one was Kingston Hall, a defensive lineman that K-State, you've been talking about Kingston Hall for a long time now at this point, it feels like. And another Oklahoma commitment for K-State, and Kingston Hall is a member of this 2026 class. So the interesting part here, I guess, to start would be is it's an interior defensive lineman. And as we know, K-State has not done a lot of high school D-tackle recruiting over the last couple of years. It's been a lot of transfer and junior college work. So what about Kingston Hall stood out to them and made them want to bring him in as a high school recruit?
Yeah, I think they like how versatile Kingston Hall is. He is probably more defensive tackle, but is kind of just like a defensive lineman. Like we'll get into Garrick Dixon a little bit later. It's kind of along that same boat. If you're asking me, yeah, and somebody asked on the board Saturday when Kingston Hall announced his commitment, like, is he more Uso or is he more Cheaty? Obi Eisner. He is a lot more Cheaty. He can play a little bit on the end. He can play on the interior. He can do a little bit of everything. And because of that, like I think that the transition for him will be pretty seamless. He's going to be doing exactly what he's doing in high school right now, just at the college level. They think that he can play anywhere from the 5 tech to the 3 tech to in a pinch and probably in more of like a pass rush situation. He could be more of like your true nose. So I think that because of that and the versatility, it was something that they felt like they couldn't pass up, because if you're really looking to do a 1-for-1 comp, it is like more of what Chidi Obi Eisner is. Kingston Hall, also a member of the Fun Film Club. If you haven't watched him, you gotta go watch it, because you expect he's a 265, 270 pound defensive lineman. He plays a little bit of running back at his high school and has an 80-yard touchdown run on his film. For his size, he's super, super athletic, runs a sub 12 100-meter dash on the track. Again, not many defensive linemen. I remember when I posted about it, because somebody said during his visits during the April contact period, and then in May when the K-State coaches went to see him, that he looked a little bit smaller than what he's listed at. Well, I said because he was running track, and nobody believed me when I said that he was running track, but he does run track as a defensive tackle, defensive lineman. He runs a 100 and ran the 4x800 this year. So he's super, super fast and athletic for his size. Also, if you're going to judge by what he wore during his K-State visit pictures and what he wears in high school, could be a single-digit defensive lineman. I'm always for those kind of guys.
Yeah, no, I love the look. Now he's going to have to battle with some guys that, we can't have quarterbacks wearing 94 out there. But yes, I'm all about a really, linebackers or defensive linemen. If they've got the confidence to go out there and get them a single digit, yeah, give it to them. Let them have it. Here's the other thing that I would kind of bring up here with talking about Kingston Hall. I mean, the size already, 6'4", 270, that feels like a pretty good number at this stage for a guy that appears to already be as athletic and good at moving as he is. I think there are a lot of guys in the high school ranks that this position or offensive line can maybe get to that size, but you don't expect the athleticism to still be there. But based on the comps that you're talking about, it seems like it is for him.
Yeah, yeah, he's very much like Cheaty coming out of high school, where Cheaty was about that size about when he committed, and then he had the size and athleticism to really make the transition pretty seamless. Hall is the same way, and is one of my favorite commits in the entire class because he's so athletic for his size. Another thing, and this is kind of when you anticipated that it was probably going to be time for Hall to commit. He visited Baylor, not this past weekend, but the weekend prior, and was originally scheduled to visit Maryland this weekend. Well, K-State saw that he was at Baylor and really made it a point to get him to cancel the Maryland visit and come to Manhattan instead. And he did, and then he committed right away. And I think a lot of the credit here goes to Mike Tuiasosopo. I mean, K-State pretty much lived at Kingston Hall's high school during the contact period. He was visited, I think, 3 times between April to the time that he took his official visit. So a lot of credit goes to the staff. Again, early evaluation, K-State gets in early before Baylor and Maryland, and that probably helped them beat out, especially at school like Baylor, who did have him on an official visit.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's and I didn't have the Baylor one on there. It is on three profile, haven't been updated yet. So the 3 offers: Baylor, K-State, Maryland at the Power 4 level. What does that signify to you that it was just those 3 so far? Was this one where more were going to be coming, or is this K-State kind of seeing something that not many others did?
Well, Hall does kind of live in the middle of nowhere, so that kind of plays a little bit to it. And
There's your 80-yard run, by the way.
yeah, that was the play that I was like, holy crap, that's a dude at 270 playing running back. But he does kind of live out in the middle of nowhere a little bit, which doesn't necessarily help him. Oklahoma wanted to see him camp, and I don't think that he was really wanting to go about that because he already had 3 Power 4 offers in hand. And then you kind of look at that as like, okay, there was more interest, and he was a guy that I think if he didn't have any offers going into the summer, probably would have exploded on the camp scene because everybody sees a guy that's that size and can run that well.
Yeah, I just that's he's a fascinating recruit for K-State to land here, and then obviously started things off yesterday with being the first one, and then after it was Kingston Hall came Garrick Dixon, defensive back from the wrong O'Fallon in the St. Louis area, high school of Fort Zumwalt West. For those that don't know, there's an O'Fallon, Missouri, and O'Fallon, Illinois, and they're both in the St. Louis area. I learned that on my trek to Greensboro a couple years ago with Alec Bussey, who is a native of O'Fallon, Illinois. And so he made the distinction there. But nonetheless, this seems like another. Well, just I know I got a little O'Fallon geography ready for you. But in terms of Garrick Dixon, stuff that actually matters, like his talent level, what was the story of this recruitment for K-State adding a DB like him?
Yeah, Garrick Dixon, I made a little bit of a comp for his recruitment in his commit story that I wrote yesterday. Kind of like Darian Whitaker of last year, where K-State going into when Darian Whitaker camped already had 4 linebacker commits. Whitaker was too good to not offer. K-State offers, K-State gets them. And now Whitaker is superhuman, at least from a looks perspective. Garrick Dixon, K-State has a lot of defensive backs on the board. They're in a good spot with a lot of them. But Dixon came and camped at K-State, and he was too good to pass up. He ran a 4.51. He broad jumped 11 feet, which is absurd for a player of his age. And played corner, played safety, was really good at both. So much so that we're sitting here and Dixon is committed and doesn't know where he's going to be playing yet. Like he just knows that he's going to be going between corner and safety, and whichever one really needs more help. Another interesting fact that I really learned post him committing was, remember earlier on in the week, I had posted an update with Dixon talking about his K-State offer. Shortly after that, he had an Iowa State visit scheduled for last week. Well, he canceled on Iowa State, I think, on Wednesday, and was in Manhattan on Thursday. So I think that the K-State offer was on that he really, really wanted, and that's just kind of how it goes with camp guys. Like, this was the perfect camp timeline. He was offered on Sunday the 8th. Then after that, K-State gets involved and gets the recruitment done and shut down in less than a week. So when you really look at that is like how a perfect timeline would go. And I think that a lot of this, and why this recruiting win especially, is just kind of like this didn't really happen beforehand, before the last like 2 or 3 years. We always kind of joke that Iowa State offers everybody. Like, I've even made a joke that I have an offer from Iowa State because they are very willing to offer anybody. But then Iowa State gets more involved again when they see that K-State offers, and K-State immediately shuts that down and gets Dixon on campus and gets Dixon committed. Like, that didn't used to happen. And I think that's something that kind of gets a little bit taken for granted when you see Garrick Dixon commit yesterday. Number one, because it just happened so fast, because like I said, his offer wasn't even a week old yet. And then because of that, like everything with how it transpired, it kind of will be a little bit under the radar on how impressive of a win it was.
So is this one with Garrick Dixon that, based off what you've talked about, you think obviously now he's committed to a Power 4 school, and we joke but are kind of serious that it seems like there is a bit of a K-State bump that's starting to happen, that his rankings will go up a little bit once there's an evaluation that's redone on him, because it seems like K-State felt like they needed to hop on this pretty quick.
Yeah, I think that his ranking will go up more. We're in a state where it's very weird and touch and go how the recruiting services really do evaluations. Like, some of why his ranking is so low right now, and like why Kingston Hall's is so low, and why the class ranking is so low, is that we're still waiting on like ESPN to rank some of the guys, and we're waiting on Rivals to rank some of the guys. And I think
I don't think that's going to happen.
No. But then you even look at that as like On3 still hasn't ranked some of them. So like I think that because of that, you're going to see the class ranking like steadily rise, because as we move along, there's going to be more evaluations done on these guys that are already committed. Like Miles Teodecki, for example, didn't have an ESPN ranking. ESPN ranked him as a 4-star in their first ranking. So we're going to see the rankings for these guys continually go up. And then we have joked about it that it seems like the last few classes that the guys that are committed to K-State have steadily like really risen over the last few years, like with Gus Hawkins, and then last year with Larry Porter. So I think that you'll see some guys really shoot up, and Garrick Dixon could be one, because he is, again, just a freak athlete.
All right, let's get on to the third and final commitment from Father's Day weekend for the Wildcats, and that is another defensive back in Hannibal Navies. He is out of the state of Georgia. Couple of Power 4 offers from K-State, Colorado, and Arizona State. Notable, his dad played at Colorado and then spent some time in the NFL. What is it that we need to know about the Hannibal Navies recruitment, Drew?
Well, I could give a fun fact since you gave an O'Fallon fun fact.
Okay.
Hannibal Navies goes to school probably like 20 minutes from where I live right now. So
Love it.
You'll get a full Hannibal Navies like breakdown when I see him in person
Every Friday night.
every Friday night.
You're going to start wearing Grayson High School gear around. You're just going to be like, this is my team now.
The Grayson High School is also a powerhouse in the state of Georgia. So you get a little bit of that because he plays for a powerhouse school. He has some powerful offers and more interest. The thing that I think really needs to be highlighted is he is a big safety. Like, again, we're doing these 1-for-1 comps. The comp for Hannibal Navies would probably be like VJ Payne, because he weighed in on his official visit at 6'2", 196. That is like pretty much VJ Payne size coming out of high school. So because of that, you're hoping that he again comes in, gets all the work done. His dad was a college athlete and college football player, so he probably knows what it takes. Big safety, really athletic.
I'll say this, I probably undersold the way that it came out. His dad had a 9-year NFL career as a linebacker.
Yeah.
So
his
it's
dad
not
played
just
for a while in the NFL.
Yeah, it's not just like, oh, his dad played a little bit, or he's one of those guys that was on a practice squad. No, his dad got multiple contracts in the NFL.
Yeah. His dad played for a long time in the NFL.
Yeah.
So he probably knows what it takes to really excel at the college level. And then again, playing for a powerhouse program helps in high school. And I think that the plan for him would be to kind of be that jack of all trades that VJ Payne has become. Because again, he's so long and really athletic. I think that he has like a 4.4, a 4.5, 40-yard dash that he runs. So again, another very fast defensive back and very long. Where have we heard that story before? I think I've heard that once or twice.
Seems like everybody now. It's the theme over the last handful of years for recruiting defensive backs at K-State has been speed, and then length has been an important part of it. Where they've said it outright, but it's finding basically guys that are a caliber of athlete that you think translate to the Big 12, and then getting everything else figured out along the way. So yeah, it's becoming a common theme, and obviously, it's serving them pretty well with the amount of defensive backs that they keep getting into the NFL draft every year.
Yeah, I mean, it has served them very, very well, and I would imagine with Hannibal Navies that it will be a pretty similar path. I'm excited because again, he's just so big, and the description that I keep getting when I've asked about Hannibal Navies is, oh, he just looks like a safety, and like that was the same description that if you go way back in the time machine, that is exactly what everybody said about VJ Payne coming out of high school too.
I would also just again point out to everybody that Hannibal Navies setting the stage for when the future Drew Galloway Jr. in like 20 years is tearing it up at Grayson High School. So the local flavor there for Drew with Hannibal Navies down in Georgia right now.
Hey, Grayson's got another good case that's going after in the 2027 class. I might be stuck doing work there.
This is just what a time to have a KSO Georgia bureau right now with Hannibal Navies and more on the way from Grayson High School. I think you mentioning that it's kind of a Georgia powerhouse. That's always good for people to hear, just because, we've talked about different recruits, and it's like, okay, what level are they coming from? It's one thing to be dominant, like you're talking Kingston Hall is kind of in the middle of nowhere or whatever. And that can translate, but there's just another element of, I feel stronger about how this works out because these guys are being tested at a pretty high school level right now. And the fact that, you're able to see the field and stick out at that. Like, think of Montario Elston when we were talking about that, and the fact that he was able to burst through and be seen with the lack of like playing time that he was getting because he wasn't even the number one back at his school. K-State's had a couple of running backs like that the last 2 years.
Too. Yeah, Davon Rice was the backup running back at his high school. I mean, you even look at like Tanner West goes to Katy High School. Katy High School is freaking loaded in Texas. Tanner West isn't their starting running back. Like, he starts for them, but is usually at receiver or running back. So you really look at all these guys coming in, and it's kind of funny because we talked about all these power high schools that K-State's getting guys from, and then like Miles Teodecki, you'd expect 6A high school in the state of Texas, Vandergrift High School. He's one of the only like Power 4 guys at their school. So the fact that again that he was able to win 6A State Player of the Year in the state of Texas is impressive. And then with how he was really able to take them to a state title and only lose one game all of last fall is extremely impressive. But yeah, that Grayson High School is loaded. If you have time, just look at who they have in the 26 and 27 class.
Yeah, it's God, it's just it you mentioned the thing about Miles Teodecki, and that's a good thing for people to go and look at right now. On three, if you click on a player's high school, it'll take you to their high school page and it'll show you the recruits that are on the roster. And Miles Teodecki, the only guy at Vandegrift right now. So definitely an impressive thing to see there. And then, you can go and look at a guy like Hannibal Navies, where you're talking about Grayson, and there are five other players right now that are on there that are players that, let's see where they're sitting. There's a 5-star, the number 8 player in the 2026 class at linebacker with right now his favorites appear to be Georgia and Clemson, according to the RPM. Then a 4-star linebacker, top 250 guy, Auburn and Alabama in the mix there. A 4-star quarterback committed to North Carolina, a 4-star edge rusher, Georgia Tech and Florida, and then a 3-star defensive lineman committed to Arkansas. So yeah, this is a team with and a lot more going on in there too, with guys beyond that. Like this is a loaded team, and Hannibal Navies is on it. When you see that many dudes that have on 3 profiles, it means that there's a strong team, and impressive that a guy like Navies is able to burst through and get to the level he is. So those are the 3 that K-State added over the weekend, and we'll see any indication on when you think more could be coming for K-State.
I think more could be coming soon. How soon is soon? I don't know. But I would say this had, of all the weekends that K-State's had, the first weekend was going to be explosive, and I think that we saw that happen right away. The second weekend, I kind of got the vibe that it was going to be more of a we'll see kind of what happens later on in the process. And so far, we're kind of on the money with that, because Bennett Frazier is the only one I believe that has gone anywhere from that second weekend of official visits. And then this past weekend, I think, was kind of like that first one, where we kind of thought that there was going to be some explosivity happening. And we're sitting at 3 right now, and I think that the number could get to 4, maybe 5, but 4 I feel pretty good about.
All right,
so at least another one.
Yeah. So K-State at this point in time, sitting at 12 commitments, went into the weekend with just 9. So it continues to grow. Some guys are still getting ratings plugged in. So like Navies, Hall, and Frazier, they don't have their industry ratings yet. And there's a chance that some of these guys, it may take a little bit, because the ratings are going to get a reset essentially when the merger takes place, because the recruiting rankings are about to be balanced out a little bit more. Yes. The industry ranking. So the 4-star that Teodecki has from ESPN, that's about to be more heavily weighted when the merger happens, and there's only 3 recruiting services, where it will be 24/7 ESPN, and then all of our on 3 recruiting stuff will be under the Rivals brand. So those will be the 3 that are there.
And it would still weigh at least a decent amount right now. This is the problem again, is like we have the merger happening, and like there are some guys like Rivals has a ranking for that on 3 doesn't, which impacts the ranking. There's some that on 3 doesn't have a ranking for that like Rivals does, or there's some that just are missing their ESPN ranking. So that's going to cause like a huge shakeup.
Well, take for example here, 3 offensive linemen in the class for K-State: Justin Morales, LaMarcus Barber, and Oliver Miller. Those guys all have 87 ratings from on 3. So that's like a mid 3-star essentially, where we would put that. getting close to being a higher end one. Once they get to 88, you start to look at that as okay, that's a high 3. They could be, but all 3 of them have 5.5 ratings from Rivals right now. And as we know, the 5.5 rating from Rivals doesn't mean anything.
That was just the slapped on. They committed to a Power 4 school.
Probably means that they did not even look at your tape. They just said, "Oh, committed to K-State. Okay, 5.5. We'll see if we get to that one."
That's like their base rating, and then they move on from there.
Yeah,
from our experiences.
So it's some guys are going to get weighting that's going to be better for them, and then there are going to be some others that have some negative grades dropped off because Rivals is going to go to the same scale as On Three. So it'll be 87, 88s that you see, and you'll know, okay, that's a 3-star. You get in the 9, okay, that's a 4-star, that type of thing.
And I anticipate that the On Three and Rivals rankings, like when they emerge, the quote unquote Rivals rankings, because that's what it's going to be called now, will look a lot more similar to what On Three has been grading guys out as.
Yeah, it is, I think, mostly still going to be On Three, but it's going to be under the Rivals branding. And just now, this is the thing that had been going on for a long time, where there was a little bit of a brain drain at Rivals, where it was they were losing guys that were talented at it or whatever, couldn't replace, and so the staffing wasn't as full. Well, now you're bringing them together. There's going to be a stronger recruiting department that can handle this type of stuff. So I think it'll take some time for everybody to get used to. And also you're going to have to kind of get that, the perception that you had of Rivals for the last couple of years out of the way, because it's all essentially going to be what On Three was now. But I think it's going to be a good thing. And we're 15 days away from it, and it's kind of exciting to look ahead and see how all of it's going to look and feel. And that also means that we're about to get a brand new wave of sites to On Three. So if you're a member of KSO right now, or you've thought about it, good time to sign up, get your toes wet. First week, just $1. And by the time July 1st comes, you're not just going to be getting K-State coverage, but if you say, man, I wish I had some more insight as to what's going on around the Big 12. I want to know what's going on at Iowa State. I want to know what's going on at Arizona State or Colorado or any of these schools in the Big 12. You're going to be able to do that because you're going to be able to see what's happening, because we're going to get a whole slew of Big 12 schools in the On Three network. And of course, you still would get great access to the On Three national coverage. The main board that I know people love from Rivals is making its way over to On Three.
Oh boy,
not for me, but hey, if that's a spot for you, it is going to be at On Three come July 1st. So sign up today.
There are no rules on the main board.
There really aren't.
It's the wild, wild west over there. If that's for you, good for you.
Yeah, go fight the good fight for Cats fans on the main board, I guess. But sign up today, get full coverage of K-State and college sports for just $1 for your first week. And I think most people that do, you're probably going to have like a $9 charge the next week then. I don't think that you're going to want to drop off, and we'll see what everything looks like in 15 days with the merger between Rivals and On Three. We're excited for that. Also, a good time to remind everybody that if you are still looking for tickets to the Aer Lingus College Football Classic, we are getting closer to being 2 months out from that date, August 23rd, 2025. You can visit cats2ireland.com for your travel, hospitality packages, and ticket info right now. Might still be some just solo game tickets that are available if you check out kstatesports.com. I also know that Aviva Stadium still has maybe a couple of ticket options there that are available, but you're in the home stretch. Probably time to start making plans, especially if you don't have a passport. We know that saga. I got it taken care of earlier this year. Drew just got his. I think he had to renew his, or no, it was because you moved.
I had to update my address, and then they did it incorrectly, and then I had to go back and do it again. But we're all good now. We can officially go.
All right. Drew is officially legal and will not either be barred from entering Ireland, or he will just, get stuck there. I don't know. Would you rather...
Passport coming in also comes in clutch, because now I can get my driver's license to say Georgia on it, and not because, now with the real ID, I couldn't fly back for the camps with a paper license. So I'll be
Mm.
flying with my passport when we go to Big 12 Media Days.
No, it's going to make you look like a hardcore traveler if you're rolling out with a passport and you're just staying domestic. People are gonna be like, "What's that guy's deal?" Oh no, he looks like a 15-year-old that just got their learner's permit with his
Exactly.
receipt driver's license.
No, yeah, that was like the biggest thing about like getting the passport. Now I was like, huh. All right, now I can get my driver's license.
Yeah, that was when that whole process is kind of weird because I don't know how it's supposed to work, but like I went to a Royals game on my 21st birthday. I watched them lose in extra innings to the Twins. Alberto Mondesi hit a inside the park home run in like the 7th or 8th inning though.
Oh, there you
So that
go.
was Brad Keller started. It was a fun game up until about the 10th. The final out of the top of the 10th inning, Billy Hamilton threw the ball to me. So that was, a
There you
win.
go.
Not a win
It,
for the Royals though.
is Mondesi still hurt? Like, what's he doing
He's
nowadays?
probably going to be hurt for the rest of his life. That's kind of how he just lived. But anyways, I went there. I was like, first beer, Royals game, Kauffman Stadium. Let's do this. And they were very confused about the paper receipt type driver's license that's temporary when you get it. And so then they did oddly enough accept because they were then concerned when I pulled out like the vertical driver's license that you have before you're 21. Like, I don't know, we can take this.
Yeah.
Like, well, this is an official ID. I mean, my birthday is on there. It said like that shouldn't change the fact that I'm 21 or not. They eventually let me get the beer. So that was just a little weird
I had the same
oddity.
struggle. Not at a Royals game, but I had the same struggle.
Yeah. End of the day, I kind of hate the receipt thing. And is there just no way that they can't like maybe somebody that works at a DMV or is privy to the Department of Revenue can explain here, why can't they just print those things right there, hot off the press? Like
No, that is a great question.
you
I've
think
wondered
about,
that too.
some I don't know. You can go to a lot of places and they just print the card right there. I didn't have to wait 3 weeks for the YMCA to give me my card when I was in like middle school and I was going there to play basketball during the weeknights. It was just, oh yeah, it'll be here by the time you get done in an hour. Okay, there it is. Boom. YMCA's got my card ready to go. Trying to think, where else do I
No,
get cards? I don't
you
know.
you bring up a very good point. I hope that somebody out there is watching this that knows the answer.
Yeah. Again, people shut it off. If you're going to complain about what we're talking about, that's a you problem. I told you can shut it off. Also had an ID problem my freshman year of college, my K-State ID. We went, a couple people on my floor, we went bowling in the Union one night, and they have to keep one of the IDs, I guess. I think it was for the shoe rental purpose. So like you return the shoes or I can't remember, but for some reason they have to hold the ID. Well, whatever they did with it, like erase the like magnetism off of it. So when we got back that night and I was trying to scan back into the dorm, it wouldn't work because they had sat it next to something that zapped it. And so I was like, oh, this thing's dead. So I had to go back and get that fixed. But that only took a couple of like minutes. So, if the K-State student ID process can do it this quickly, can we not figure something out with driver's licenses? I get it. They got all the fancy little markings on there and everything, but just saying, let's figure this out a little bit.
Even if
Let's
you
develop
like didn't
technology.
even if you didn't print it like right away. Like I feel like that could be like something like, oh, like come back in like 2 hours, then it'll be ready.
How frequently did you use the bowling alley in the Union?
I think that I went maybe twice.
Oh man, I love that the Union has a bowling alley in it. That is anytime I'm in Manhattan with my family right now, I just suggest I was like, well, I think Elliot would probably like to go bowling. Like that's a fun experience. We should just go to the Union and bowl. Because like I remember doing that with my dad when I was growing up, and like we were in town for like a basketball game or something. He's like, I think the Union still has a bowling alley in it. We went down there. That's a fascinating thing. I also ate at that Subway a lot my senior
Mm.
year of college.
No,
So,
I think I only went maybe twice.
or my junior year. I think it was junior year when I started dating my wife. So, yeah. I don't know. I love the Union. I love a lot of it. It's not as I didn't spend a lot of time there, but when I went, it's like I could spend a lot of time here just dilly-dallying and finding the intricacies. They fascinate me. I don't like that it's remodeled as much. Remodeling, blah, keep it old and traditional to me. But I don't know. That's all I got. So there's a little Union reminiscing. Outlook for the week for everybody here on KSO. Tomorrow and Wednesday, normal shows, I think, unless we get some more commitments, and then we'll just talk about that again. And then Thursday, we'll do a recruiting update, which will preview a pretty significant weekend for visitors.
Potentially the most significant one.
Yeah, pretty much. That's a good way to describe it. And then Friday, we debut KSO Classic, which we will run all the way up until August 22nd when we go over to Ireland. First game that we will be discussing, 2003 football, K-State, Nebraska in Lincoln. Can't wait to talk about that. So Drew and I have a viewing appointment at some point this week in the build-up to go and watch that full broadcast before we talk about it, since we were 5 years old when it happened. So I'm excited to go through and see what's happening.
Also, another sidebar, you guys can really shut it off now. It is very funny to me that DY posted yesterday during the US Open that he doesn't like watching games, that he knows what's happening. And we're about to do KSO Classic.
That, I know some people would say, oh, DY has some bad takes from time to time. I get where he's coming from to a certain extent. Like, if, I'll be at swim lessons tomorrow night with my daughter. So say I cared about what the Kansas City Royals were doing right now. Instead, Matt Quatrero is dead to me. It's a good thing you can't watch him right now, Drew. Although I think they do have 2 nationally televised games this week, so you could actually watch them. If the game ended while I was at swim lessons, win or lose, I'm not able to come back and just go and be like, oh, I'm gonna sit here and watch this game like it happened. Like, I can't do that. Or I know some people will do it with like football or like basketball.
Yeah.
Like, I'm gonna record. I can't do that. Like, I'll go back and watch highlights of games that I was just at, if it was, a great game, or like I'm trying to look for something, but I'm not just going to sit there for 2-3 hours like the game is still happening and watch it. I can't do that. But DY tweeting that yesterday, because when the US Open went into a rain delay and they're showing you one of the best US Opens ever of 2008, I watched that replay on the regs. I am religiously watching replays of Tiger Woods at the US Open in 2008. Like, I will go watch, into that third round, the fourth round, the playoff. Like, yeah, it's awesome when it's a sweet sporting event like that. Now, when the NFL Network in the summer is showing you week 7 of Jets Bengals in 2012, yeah, I'm not interested in that. I'm not going to sit there and watch it. But if it's a great one or of like an era, I will sit down. I will watch it. I do know that the Big 12 recently, just the other night, they premiered it, but they put the 2014 Sunflower Showdown on YouTube. And I imagine they're going to get ready to start showing it in their Big 12 Studios website or whatever. So if anybody wants to go back and watch that thrashing, you can do so, because the Big 12 has put it up 51-13 in there. How about it?
That tweet yesterday when I saw it just cracked me up, because I was like, oh, we're about to watch a whole bunch of old games.
Yeah. Boy. Okay. So do you remember when FS1, they had their big thing was there are 3 things you need to know?
Yeah.
So they would pop that up. Do you want to hear what the 3 things you need to know was from the 2014 K-State KU football game?
Away.
This is when KU is on offense. Michael Cummings, time to shine. This was his 7th career start at KU. He sucked. Jimmy Mundine, he's anything but mundane. A little play on, mundane. And then Jonathan Truman, The Truman Show. I mean,
wow.
Really? I wonder, let's see. Do we have a 3 things you need to know for the K-State? Okay, all right. 3 things you need to know for when K-State was on offense. Tyler Lockett power, whatever that means. Jake Waters.
It's like rocket power.
Oh, okay, good. See, okay, that's good. You need a couple people here to dissect what's going on. Jake Waters making waves. I get that one. I get that one. And then Ben Heaney, the captain.
The captain.
Interesting. Fun fact: Ben Heaney from Hutch. He is a guy that when I just put it this way, there are certain people, Drew, that when they make news in certain ways, I save bookmark links on my phone when I was in high school to the stories about what they did. It was, I did it for some people, and Ben Heaney was one of them. So I'll tell you off the air if it was good or bad, the story that I say for Ben Heaney. But, Hutch High guy that went to KU doesn't really jive for the Bueller High guy that went to K-State. So, all right, that'll do it for us. I'm sure everybody hated part of this, but enjoy the first part of it where we talked about the 3 commitments. That's fun. We'll be back tomorrow, and it'll be a pretty fun week at KSO. So for Drew Galloway, I'm Mason Voth. Thanks for watching and listening. We'll see you later.